a very good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you might be in the world. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Lorena's Labyrinth. I'm Anah Parreli, and of course I do the video content here, and in fact, actually I do everything really. But at the end of the day, before I go into today's video, I just want to thank you for joining me, whether you're returning or new. If you're a returning visitor, you might want to jump along to the next slide or whatever. Obviously, it's up to you. You will know how I proceed with these videos by now. If you're new to the channel, though, you might not be aware that the way I do these videos is actually I put timing stamps in the description so you can jump to your areas of interest. I also invite people to put in their own information and understanding of crystals. Or anything really that might be relevant to the channel, because I'm all for pooling our information as part of expanding our own knowledge and awareness, raising the consciousness of people throughout the planet, if you like. So yes, you are invited to comment. I'm not an expert by way of geologist or lapidarist or anything like that. I just have a personal love and passion for crystals. And I've got to admit, I am a bit of a crystal snob. I actually prefer to have crystals that are basically uncut and that have been handled as little as possible. But at the same time, there are crystals that do challenge my biases from time to time. And goldstone, I'm not super familiar with. I've had it as part of my collection. Where I have the blue goldstone, I actually really like that one. With the brownish orange type goldstone, I've had it as part of my collection, but I can't say that I've felt a hugely energetic draw to it. But of course, that is something that's going to be personal and different to all of us. If you've had experience and like goldstone and have felt energy or whatever, then please do add your comments. They'll be quite welcome. So for this video, when I talk about goldstone, I'm actually talking about this, in this image, it looks a little bit on the brownie side, but the pieces that I've got are more orangey type colour. They're more of a terracotta type colour. So they're a beautiful colour. But just to give a little bit of background here, when we talk about goldstone, it does come in a range of colours, and I'm not familiar with all of them. I don't think I'll be doing a video on the green goldstone, although without going into it, I would imagine the green is for your heart chakra and also connecting to Mother Earth and the nature kingdom. It's probably got those benefits. Now, the other thing I guess to point out when we talk about this crystal is, while I say I'm a bit of a crystal snob, in the past I wouldn't want to buy a synthetic crystal. And at the end of the day, anything that's man-made is synthetic, and that includes this goldstone here. Whereas I've had to do a little bit of a change myself in the way I approach it, because the way I see it, I'm very much into the power of colour and healing with colour, because colour all carries energy as well, as does the reddy, browny, terracotta type colours. But the other thing is, although this is a synthetic crystal, the sparkles of it, because you can see a little bit here, it does have a sparkle. Where the blue goldstone has the mica, I believe that this particular goldstone, it gets its sparkles from the copper inclusions. Bit of a cough there, sorry, I had to stop and start. Okay, so the background here really is, as with the blue goldstone video that I put up, there's a whole different debate about where it started, how it started, and that includes, the belief that it was created by Italian monks in the 17th century. Then there's a contradicting story where it's supposed to have been first made in Iran in the 12th century or even earlier. There's the position that, it might have been constructed by Romans. Whatever, I'm not really sure. But apparently the one reliable source is, and you can look this up yourself, is that there was a Venetian, I think he was in Venice, a guy called Vincenzo Miotti, if I have pronounced this correctly, who was also a priest, but he was a glazier, and he was tasked to create this by, I'll use my Australian, by some big knob somewhere that had power and asked them to make it. So he's got, there's a series of art products, I think, like boxes that have got the the goldstone on it, but they actually didn't call it goldstone back then. I think they called it aventuring glass. So just a little tidbit for you there. And it might be because of this business with him being a priest as well, where that whole concept of, it was made by Italian monks came from. I really am not sure. So if you've got any information that you consider to be solid, please feel free to contribute. So when we talk about the chakras and link this in with the reddish brown goldstone, of course, from a color perspective, you're looking at the base chakra and the sacral chakra. From the color perspective, very much so with the earth chakra, which is beneath your feet. And then when we talk about copper, which of course goldstone's got these copper inclusions, then we're looking at the heart chakra as well. So it will work with all of these. Copper is not going to lose its attributes because it's become part of the component of another crystal, not from where I sit anyway. So, from a metaphysical overview, it is goldstone, this reddish brown goldstone, is associated with ambition. It's supposed to support manifestation, particularly in the work and career area if you've got goals. It's also, which is why it's associated with empowerment, building upon your strength and helping you to achieve your independence, shall we say, from an earthly perspective. So it's considered to be a magnet towards abundance, prosperity, and success, and also supposed to be beneficial for those people that like to do magic or miracles or try and create them, because it's considered to be a crystal of alchemy. I'm really not sure how that translates out. I'm once again open to you guys giving your feedback here. But what I can say is when we talk about copper and the properties that it has, it's believed to be a very powerful energy conductor which bridges the physical to the spiritual realms, which is probably why it's good for manifestation. And also copper carries the properties of clearing any blockages. What else can I say about that? Just basically grounding a person into obviously earth, addressing earth issues, reinforcing vitality, giving them energy, and helping to inspire love and creativity. From an astrology perspective, goldstone, if you were to do your research, you'll see that people out there recommend it for those people that are the star sign Sagittarius. But then again, if you do some more research, you're going to find that copper is recommended for people who are Taurus or Libra. That being said, if you're a returning visitor to the channel, you'll know my thoughts on whether or not there's any relevance to the star signs and crystals. And for me, I'm a big believer that you're better off to go into a store, handle the crystal, and establish if it feels like, from an energy perspective, the right crystal for you, as opposed to going, oh, well, I'm a Taurus and apparently we need goldstones. No. If you feel drawn to it, you get it. You don't worry about what your star sign is. You are always going to be guided and directed to the crystal that you need for your greater good, especially if you put that intention there when you walk into a shop. You will be taken to the correct crystal for you. So don't let your star sign determine whether or not you buy a crystal, including goldstone. So from a mineral perspective and getting the information for you, it is known, goldstone is known by other names as well, such as previously mentioned aventurine glass, gold star, and sometimes it's even known as monk stone as well. So as also previously stated, it is synthetic, it's man-made, and it's considered to be a glittering coloured glass, and it's made by melting silica, which I think is sand, with some other elements to create this really beautiful, warm looking crystal, if you want to call it that. It's not a crystal, obviously, because it's glass or a type of glass. And from there, basically, as far as hardness goes, it's a 5.5 to a 6.5. As I said, with the colour, it's orange to reddish brown. As far as transparency goes, it's not, right? It is opaque. If you hold it up to the sun, you're not going to get any light through it at all. From a luster perspective, it's smooth and glassy because it is a form of glass. But what I find interesting is that it's absolutely nothing like obsidian, well, not in my experience. What else have I got here? Not a lot, really. Feel free to make a comment. Look, from a buying perspective, any buying tips here? I guess there is a risk that we might find plastic that has got flecks on it being passed off as goldstone, but you're going to know it if you feel it. That's the bottom line. The weight is going to influence. If you're buying online, always ask the weight of the item that you're going to buy. You want to know how much it weighs, how big it is, how tall, how wide, all of that kind of thing. Get the dimensions. This is, of course, a repeat. I say it on every video because people might not be familiar with buying online. If you're going to buy online, you need to look at the hidden costs and the currency conversions as well as any freight charges, because quite often by the time all those charges are added in, including currency conversion, you can quite often buy it locally for cheaper than what you're buying online. And I would imagine goldstone is one of these items. But the other thing is too that, if you're looking for a specific healing attribute, anything that's got more of a brown color to it is going to be more grounding, more earthy. If you're looking for something that's about inspiring your creativity, then you want to go for shades of goldstone that are perhaps a little bit more orange, and if you're looking to build the manifestation aspect, certainly if it's to do with the abundance and prosperity and wealth, that capacity to support yourself financially and that kind of thing, then you'll probably want to go for the ones that have got more reddish type tones to it. I'm just thinking about this. The other thing that I would suggest, or just to make a point of, is that if you're buying carved anything, whether it's goldstone or not, there is a symbolism associated with the carving. So, for instance, if you were buying the angel carving, it's most likely actually connected to Archangel Michael, your base chakra, and the desire to, if you've been flat and got chronic fatigue or something like that, to improve your vitality. I'm going to talk about the attributes in a moment of the crystal, but that's just for an example of how you would work out what you want to get, or when you see an item, do you want that one or don't you, Of course, with the Buddha, you have, in this image here, he's a laughing Buddha. So that's about happiness and joy, which is actually creativity as well, and probably more associated with the sacral chakra, the emotions, emotional balance. But then if you were to get a laughing Buddha with the brown type hues, then you're actually grounding joy and laughter into your physical existence, if that makes sense. Of course, spheres are great for holding for meditation. So, as previously stated, yes, goldstone is associated with alchemy and miracles, magic, that kind of thing. You might consider using it in your blessing ceremonies or rituals. It's said to offer protection in the form of being able to deflect negative energy. What else? It's obviously, when we're talking about manifestation, we're also talking about having that goal, that vision, and then breaking it down into steps. It's believed to bring good luck, creative approaches, ingenuity, if you like, to how you approach that manifestation. Also supposed to be a crystal of good luck, believed to ground the aura as well, the whole energetic body of a person. You can use it as a talisman for protection, of course. Other things worth a mention here is it's supposed to enhance the life force or will of a person. As I said, if you go for the reddish type browns, it will be more focused on that. If you're looking for the rebirth and transformational type properties, then probably somewhere in between the red, the brown and the orange would be a good one. The terracotta perhaps type colours. What else? So then this is goldstone in itself, but because it's got the copper inclusions, it's important to, I think, address the fact that copper has got healing spiritual attributes as well, and it's believed to be a conductor of energy in itself. So it makes goldstone perfect for channeling healing energy if you are doing metaphysical work. And it's also believed to amplify the energy of other crystals. So if you're using perhaps goldstone of this colour and trying to direct healing to a person, perhaps for the heart chakra or whatever, then you would use a crystal like rose quartz to help them feel more confident, build their self-esteem, that kind of thing. And the goldstone should actually enhance that. I say should because we've got to have an open mind about these things. But other things with copper is that it is also believed to clear and balance the aura, if there has been some conflict, and it's supposed to connect or act as a bridge between the physical and the spiritual or the higher realms. Also, obviously, copper is a very, very grounding type crystal, and we all need that. If we're going to be working with the spiritual and higher energies, we have to be able to ground while we've got that earth connection. What else have I got? Just that basically it will act. I mentioned the business of acting as a bridge between the earth and the nature kingdom and the higher realms. So goldstone has got a lot of very interesting attributes, shall we say, than I would have immediately thought of when you look at it as being a synthetic glass. It's the copper, I believe, that gives it most of the attributes, along with the colour. So in regard to the physical attributes, just a reminder that you don't disengage from your treating professionals if you've got a major health condition or even a minor one that could become major, to rely totally on your crystals. I think that would be unwise. That's just my opinion. But at the same time, you could use your crystals in conjunction with your existing treatment plans. And when it comes to the physical properties of goldstone, there really wasn't a lot out there for me to take a look at, and some of them are mentioned here that I did find. But the bottom line is, with any crystal, if it is associated to a chakra, it's going to carry physical healing attributes for that chakra. So you could do a Google. I mean, if you've got health conditions, say in your sacral area, then you would go for the orange type crystals, including the more orange type of goldstone. But anyway, so look, given that goldstone is recommended primarily for earth base chakra, sacral chakra, you're looking at the organs that are to do with reproduction. That's women and men, although there seems to be a focus on women for their ovaries, their fallopian tubes, that kind of thing. Because we're looking at the base chakra body organs as well, that will include things like the bladder, the bowel, the organs down there, waste elimination. So if you've got problems with constipation or vice versa, or any digestive problems, it should provide support. I say should, we've got to keep an open mind to any health conditions in those areas. If people are suffering from chronic fatigue or a low energy vitality, then it would be recommended for those people as well. Now, obviously, can't ignore copper here, because copper brings its own properties as well, and it's supposed to support physical healing by enhancing the circulation of blood and oxygen, and support tissue and cellular repair. So, there are some properties there, but it's primarily, I believe, more of an emotional type crystal, emotional healing. So when you look at the emotional slide here, you can see that it's got a whole multitude of emotional benefits towards the state of mind, the way we feel, the way we think, lending itself to having these positive outlook on life, and the capacity to actually deal with adversity, which this is the qualities of building endurance, building willpower and determination to overcome some of the problems that we find throughout life. And the capacity, what I like about it, is the business of being able to turn those thoughts around, the negative thinking patterns that we get into, and to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, because this is so important. Life is full of ups and downs. So it's believed to calm and soothe and balance the emotions. If people suffer from a conditions such as anxiety and stress, or if they suffer from these volatile mood swings of mood and anger, it's supposed to, of mood and anger, fear and anger was what I meant. It's supposed to actually balance and stabilize those and lead to obviously a calmer type demeanor, that being able to have the triggers. We're all going to be triggered throughout life. We will all experience anger at different times. It's the depth of the anger that can be problematic for us. Anger that's converted to positivity can actually be a real fuel for manifestation and change, because if we can use anger positively, then it becomes passion, it becomes a driving force. So that is a benefit that I believe we could expect to see from working with Goldstone. If we're looking for innovation, if we've got problems and conflict, then this will, I should say allegedly, or there is a potential that it will help to find creative solutions to these problems. If you struggle with focus and concentration, it's supposed to support that, probably because we're in a calmer state. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but when we're really angry, it is difficult to make a balanced and wise decision. Quite often we dig bigger holes for ourselves when we choose to react when we're angry. So it's important to become calm so that we can then focus on making a healthy decision. There becomes that clarity of mind. And the other thing is, of course, what have I got here? Lends itself to acceptance of the things that we can change, the things that we can't change, understanding, I guess, our boundaries, and building confidence, respect for ourselves and the way we cope with and challenge, the way we cope with our challenges and any adversity that comes in our path. So carvings can be both environmental and ornamental. You can have, say, generators and towers. They look pretty, they're great, and you can use them in a multitude of ways. Certainly the carvings and the towers, what am I saying? The carvings like Buddha or whatever, they're going to send out an ambient energy into the atmosphere of the space. You might want to put some at work or whatever. If you've got generators, you might want to use those in gridding if they're carved in the shape of a generator. You might want to wear it as a pendant or carry tumbled, if I can speak, tumbled stone on your person. If you're meditating and wanting to tap into the properties of the crystal, of course, you can hold it in a wide variety of shapes, which can be the spheres. There's worry stones, palm stones, tumbles. Feel free to let us know how you do it. As far as elixirs go, look, I don't think there would really be a problem if it's polished, okay? But the problem is it contains copper. So copper can be toxic, but you could use elixirs when you make them without the water immersion, and I'll let you do a Google on that. I haven't done a video on how to do it, but I should actually put that on my to-do list. So as far as goldstone of this colour acting as a messenger, and because it's associated with the career growth and ambitions and all the rest of it, it would be, I believe, and in fact I should have given the background here, which is when I provide services to people, I have a bowl which I hand out to people like a lucky dip and say, focus, concentrate, pull out a crystal and let's see what the message is for you. So I think generally speaking, if they were to pull out this ready coloured goldstone, it would be like, now's the time to get a handle on your emotions, because the bottom line is, if you want to manifest, if you want to be successful at anything, then there has to be a clarity there. And when we are ruled by our emotions, then our decision making becomes impaired, it becomes clouded, we don't always see things effectively, we might not be looking at the big picture because we're busy taking things personally. So I would be saying, look, set your goals, make a commitment to balance your emotions, to remain calm and not to act when you are feeling overly emotional, to step back from your emotions, reflect, get calm, gather yourself, center and ground, and then revisit whatever problem it is that you're going to address, especially if you're trying to do a whole rebirth like that phoenix rising from the ashes, if you've been to hell and back, because quite often that's what happens when we've got blockages in the sacral chakra. We're locked into that pain and suffering. So it becomes a matter of really addressing some of those emotional barriers to forward motion. And that takes a commitment. Honestly, that is a commitment. The other thing is, it could, depending on the person, indicate that Well, quite often I find that people that have got conditions such as depression and all the rest of it, they are locked into the past and unable to move forward. There's a resistance to change. And that doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with a person. Quite often, depression and this, to put it into perspective, it can be the passing away or the total ending of a situation, which is grief and loss, actually, can be the block there, not wanting that person to depart. If it relates to death and dying, there is that whole grieving that, they've got to move on in life without that person being present there. So it becomes a matter of consciously making that decision to process the grief so that it doesn't stop them, creating that time and the space to remember the deceased, shall we say, and to move on forwardly and in a positive way into the future. There's a saying that I've seen more recently, and this might help people who are going through a grieving process, which is, that old saying of when they're passing, and it's like, go forward, live well, live well. Just because they're gone doesn't mean, or gone physically, doesn't mean that they are no longer present in our life, especially if you become attuned to energy. Then you can actually feel their presence when they're around, even if you're not actually able to hear them to respond to any of your comments. They will always hear you, but whether or not you receive their responses depends on how far you choose to evolve yourself energetically and also spiritually and your psychic gifts. But the sacral chakra and those base chakras, they're the first ones to work with if you're wanting to go and have those stable foundations when you do your spirit communication. As far as the crystal care goes for Goldstone, I mean, it is glassy, it's fairly durable. Certainly in my experience it has been, and tongue-in-cheek I say, you could probably use it as a marble. It's, as I say, fairly durable, but at the same time it's not as hard as natural gemstones, or some of the harder ones, and it can be scratched. So the reference to marbles probably isn't that different with Goldstone, because marbles can be scratched as well and they can break, but you've got to be pretty rough with them, and that would be the same with your Goldstone. So just be careful what you rest it against. What else could I say with it? When it comes to, well, obviously the first thing is it's going to be fine with water, washing with water and washing with a wet cloth. You could certainly clean it if it needed it, if you had the ornaments and the carvings and that. If you wanted to do if you're into the metaphysical attributes, recharging, clearing, cleansing, attuning, all of that kind of thing, I've got videos on how to do that. So you're welcome to go and look for those on the Crystal Magic playlist. But rule of thumb, if you've watched many of my videos, you will know that I am basically a lazy person, and I like to do things with effective time management. If you've got a lot of crystals around your house, it's just way too much hard work to be doing I'm going to smudge each crystal individually, and smudge being obviously with incense or with your essential oils or whatever, and hold it under the smoke. And honestly, I think it would probably take me 4 days to actually get them all out on the front veranda if I was or the table out the back, if I was going to be exposing them to a full moon and doing sunlight charging and all the rest of it. So generally speaking, whether it's Goldstone or any other crystal, I'll go on my gut instinct. My fallback option is always the selenite, to charge it on a log of selenite or a slab of selenite. Things that are susceptible to scratching, I will use the polished selenite as opposed to the rough, because that selenite's pretty hard, and in fact it's harder than Goldstone, so the chances are it would scratch it. I'm not a great believer in popping your tumbled stones even into an amethyst geode, because that's a popular method as well, because those points of your geode can actually be quite easy to break. They can be quite fragile if you're doing a lot of the cleansing and clearing through that. But other type ways of doing the cleanse and recharge is music. So I will just say, look, rule of thumb for me, it's selenite, incense as I feel drawn. If I was perhaps drawn to a particular item, ornament or whatever, I would look at that and think, does that need to go outside? It's kind of like, I just do it when I feel guided or drawn to, is another way to give it a little bit extra, especially if I've been working with a crystal a lot and it's become a bit tired, is how I describe it. But if you've got a preferred method, I always invite people to put up their methods and techniques as well. So feel free to make a comment. Thank you. So, my friends, look, I've had to do a bit of stopping and starting. That's the way it goes quite often with my videos. But anyway, that's all the information I can share with you today. I must depart and get on my way and start doing some other work, but I look forward to hearing from you. Once again, I thank you for being part of my journey, and hopefully I shall see some comments from you. Oh, I always forget, but I'll try and remember to do it more often now, is if you find any of the information that I give to you to be helpful in any way, shape or form, can you just give us a thumbs up, please, to help keep me motivated. Also, of course, if you want to subscribe, that would be wonderful as well. For now, though, I am going to say thank you very much. Take care. I am going to go out and face that weather. It is bitter here today, and my poor dog is not coping with it. Neither am I, as it happens. But anyway, enough of that. I shall catch you on the next video. Bye-bye for now. Take care. See you.